Okay, so in this lesson you're going to talk about simplifying expressions, but in particular you're going to be writing algebraic expressions from words. So remember in a previous lesson we looked at this chart, and this was where we were translating words into symbols, and we did examples like these. So the product of 5 and a number added to 7, a number divided by 11.2, and so on. And so in this lesson, though, we're going to extend combining like terms and simplifying expressions with parentheses in terms of these words. Okay, so it's just an extension of this, dealing with this lesson that we're discussing. Simplifying expressions. We talked about the grouping symbols. We talked about the distributive property. We talked about combining like terms. All this is going to come into play. Okay, so let's look at this example. All right, so this is going to be number 1, let's say. Get this one right here. So it says twice a number decreased by 4. All right, so remember in the lesson that we're referring to, we let x equal the number. So let x equal the unknown number. Okay, and so twice a number, remember, means 2 times. So twice a number means 2 times. So that was one of our words here, okay, in this table. So twice a number. So that's going to be 2 times. So this right here is 2 times x. Now there's a comma there. All right, so the comma is a pause. So twice that number, and then all of a sudden I'm going to decrease. And remember, decrease right here, decrease by means to subtract. All right, so I'm going to decrease by 4. So we get this, and then the question is, can I simplify this? Can I combine like terms? Based on our discussions and all these lessons, these two terms are not like, so we cannot combine them. So that's your answer. So twice a number decreased by 4 is 2x minus 4. Okay, now let's look at this. 3/4 of a number, so remember 3/4 means 3 divided by 4. Of in this case, remember of in this case means to multiply. So this is going to be 3/4 times x, and comma, so there's a pause there. And so we're going to increase, remember increase by means to add. All right, so we're going to add 12. And again, those are not like terms, so we're done. We cannot simplify this expression. Okay, the next one. The sum of 3 times a number and negative 2. The sum of 3 times a number, negative 2. So notice the comma, so let's look at this first. So sum, remember, means to add. So I'm adding, and this part right here, 3 times a number means 3x. And then I'm adding 3x, remember sum means to add, to negative 2. So that's what I have so far. So 3x plus negative 2, comma, and then it's added to 5 times the number. So it's also added to 5 times a number, and 5 times a number means 5 times x. Okay, so that's where I'm at. All right, so the sum of 3 times a number, so if you want to put that in parentheses, you can. So this is the first part here. I'm talking about the sum, so I can do this if I want to. So the sum of 3 times a number and negative 2. That is added to 5x. Okay, now let's talk about simplifying this. This can be simplified. And remember, since I put the parentheses there, remember that's understood to be a 1. So 1 times anything in here is that expression. So that's 3x minus 2 plus 5x. And then combining like terms, 3x and 5x is 8x. So I get 8x minus 2. And so there's your answer. All right, so whenever it says simplify, make sure you simplify your answer. Make sure the answer is simplified. Don't put this as the answer. This is your answer. Okay, 8 times the sum of a number and 6. So 8 times the sum of a number and 6. All right, so notice there's no commas in here, so there's no pauses. So this says 8 times. So 8 times. Now watch what I'm doing. 8 times, and then it says the sum of a number and 6. So I'm adding a number and 6 together, and then I'm multiplying it by 8. So this is really what you have. The sum of a number and 6. So this is what you see. So 8 times, and then I'm adding these two things together. Sum of a number and 6. So the parentheses were important. The answer is not this. So make sure you understand that this is not the answer. So don't say 8 times a number and 6. That's incorrect. Okay? 8 times the sum of a number and 6 is this, not this. So this does not say 8 times a number added to 6. That's what this is. 8 times a number added to 6. That's what that would be. That's not what this says. Okay, so it's very important to understand the difference between the two. Okay, now I can simplify this. So remember the distributive property. You have to use all your properties. You have to simplify. You have to get rid of parentheses. You have to combine like terms. All this comes into play here. So you're going to say 8x plus 48. 8 times 6 is 48. And those are not like terms, so you're done. All right, next one. Double a number minus the sum of a number and 10. So I'm doubling a number. So doubling a number means 2x. And then minus means to subtract. And then here we go again. Remember that sum right here. You can put that in parentheses. So the sum of, so that whenever you see sum of, make sure you think parentheses. Okay, parentheses. So this stuff that I've underlined goes in parentheses. So make sure you remember that. Sum of, underline that phrase, and goes inside the parentheses. So this is what I have. Double a number minus, and then in parentheses, the sum means add a number and 10. So that's what I have. Okay. So double a number minus, and then sum of, always put it in parentheses. See this right here? Put that in parentheses. Okay? Just the same thing here. All right, now let's get rid of the parentheses from a previous lesson. So remember, you're going to distribute the negative 1. So this is 2x. A negative 1 times x is a negative x. A negative 1 times 10 is a negative 10. And then combine like terms. 2x minus x is x, so I get x minus 10. So there's your answer. That's what you would put in the blank. So if it says simplify your answer, that goes in the blank. Okay, the next one. The sum of 7, twice a number, negative, no, notice the commas. Sum of 7, twice a number, negative 6, and 5 times a number. That means you're adding all of these things together. That's what that means. So I'm adding 7 and twice a number and a negative 6 and 5 times a number. That's what that said. Okay? All right? So, now, again, like I said, you remember how this says sum of, put that in parentheses? So you could put that in parentheses. It really wasn't necessary because what happens? This is understood to be a 1. 1 times all of these is this expression. So this is 7 plus 2x plus a negative 6 plus 5x. And now combine like terms. 2x and 5x is 7x. A 7 and a negative 6 is a positive 1. So the answer is 7x plus 1. All right, next one. Okay, suppose we had this now. Suppose we had 6 times the difference of a number and 4. So 6 times the difference. So remember a while ago, this was the sum. 8 times the sum. So sum means to add, notice the parentheses. Okay, this time it says 6 times the difference. Difference means to subtract. Remember that. Difference means to subtract. So it'll be 6 times the difference of a number and 4. So x minus 4. So that's what this becomes. So remember, difference of, like sum of, put that in parentheses. Parentheses. Make sure you remember that. Parentheses. Now distribute. I get 6x minus, and then 6 times a negative 4 is a negative 24. And that's your answer. Okay, next one. 3 times a number, comma. All right, so notice a comma. So 3 times a number, so that's this, minus, all right, the product of a number and 3. So product means to multiply, and I'm multiplying a number and 3. So maybe I should have, okay, so let's just leave it like that. So 3 times a number minus the product of a number and 3. So notice what we get. And so it's possible to get something like this. 3, I didn't mean it to be this right here, but it's okay. So 3x minus 3x, combine like terms, you get 0. So put 0 in the blank. Okay, so you get 0. Anything subtract itself is 0. Okay, next one. the sum of 6 times a number and 5. So here we go. Sum of 6 times a number and 5. So that means, in parentheses, 6 times a number and 5. That's what this is subtracted from. Okay, so remember subtracted from. That's one of our special cases right here. Remember that? So it's kind of, you do the opposite of the order in which you see it. So the sum of 6 times a number and 5 subtracted from. So that's being subtracted from. So notice the subtraction is in front. 8 times a number. And so that's what you have. So 6 times a number and the sum of 6 times a number, remember parentheses, put that in parentheses, is being subtracted from. Subtracted from is one of our special subtractions. You do the opposite of what you see. So this goes first. So 8 times a number, subtract 6x plus 5. And I'll get rid of the parentheses, distribute the negative 1 through here. I get 8x minus 6x, and then negative 1 times 5 is a negative 5. Combine like terms, 8x minus 6x is 2x minus 5. And then finally, 6 times a number, subtract from 8. There's subtract from again. So this goes first. So 6 times a number, so that means 6x, is being subtracted from 8. That's what it looks like. So 6 times a number is being subtracted from 8. Cannot combine like terms, so that's your answer. Okay, so this was just writing algebraic expressions from words. You had to remember from a previous lesson this information here. Okay, all right, so that takes care of this lesson.